On the record.
Islam.
Islam.
Let's get started with the prayer.
Uh-huh.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace. Freedom. And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
His holy prophet.
His holy prophet.
Wizardry. Ashe.
Ashe.
Rome must fall.
Rome must fall.
Yes. Yes. So Islam.
What's class today? What's the
Today's class, the theme is intellectual wizardry reversed.
Islam.
Islam.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah. Mouthful, brainful, everything.
That sounds heavy.
Yeah.
That sounds right on point.
Yeah, we got some stuff to deal with today. We got some stuff to deal with. We'll start off with our letters to be read every meeting. The first letter to be read. A warning from the Prophet to be read every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Juali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Juali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. These are the instructions from your prophet Noble Juali. Be faithful unto your father's divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds, that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near. So says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Juali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against the divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Juali. We just want to touch on something that was mentioned here. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Yes, sir. What's good, fam? You all right? See. Okay. Watch your enemies. The ones that speak against the prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest. Those individuals now have kind of taken a back seat because they got called out in 1929, right? The ones who were pushing the perspective of you know prophet didn't finish doing what he was whatever, the prophet wasn't ready and whatever like that. There's new Moors that are gonna take this to the better level that it's supposed to be, whatever like that. You know what I mean? Individuals who at convention jumped in the prophet's seat. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the prophet's back and all those type of stuff like that, right? Right?
Yeah, and he was already an adult.
Already, right?
Yeah.
So there's not really a perspective of peace, brother. There's not really a perspective of um, those speaking against him being the dirty ones right now, right? The ones that are against him. The ones that are against him actually pretend that they're for him. They actually have his picture up. They actually have a building called Morris Science Temple with a flag in the window and a sign, and they teach and speak like they are for him. But when you go to the second part, the ones that speak against your divine and national principles, now that's a different level of fraud, if you will, right? Because they now are taking the position of allowing new people that are coming in to be confused with the lessons, because they're pushing their perspective of what the lessons are, not giving the people Noble Drew Ali's stuff, right?
Yeah.
They're taking that as a position, right, to keep the people from studying,
And learning
right, and learning the real deal for themselves, right? Right. So we want to continue to push the Moors that have been doing the work, you know what I mean, that could show and prove that they're for him, not just, flapping or whatever like that. So we always push, Alim Bey. So make sure you go check him out. Make sure you go Google him. Make sure you get his book. Make sure you whatever, because as far as Canaanland Moor is concerned, that's the first Moor that we brought across borders here to teach Moors about Moors, right? We brought him here 4 times, right? And he's never once played sell us our birthright. He never once played sell us packages, you know what I mean? He never put the prophet, in the back, even though he's from the branch of Washita, which people have this perspective that they're different. You know what I mean? The Noble Drew Ali brought something, the Empress is different than whatever when they're the same family. You know what I mean? We always push, RV Bay Publication, the online university, right? Giving you everything for free. You don't have to go buy your birthrights. You don't have to go, those individuals on that site, they put out information in book form, so they put some work in. You can put $10 in their hand to get a book. You know what I mean? You can put 15 notes in their hand to get a book. They're not telling you $50, $80 for books like Polite and Dr. Umar Johnson, those people there, $80 for a book, $50 for a DVD and stuff like that, right? That people are paying. And they're in that book, that stuff, they're telling them that they're black every day, all day, right? Of course, Brother Taj Tariq Bey, go Google him, YouTube search him, sit at the foot of that master and take some notes so that you can get a clear perspective of what the Moorish movement is, because one, he's an elder, so he has certain information that other people, aren't privy to, Two, he came through, Nation of Islam as a head minister, so he has that side of the stuff too, which, if he was down with that and left that to be Moors,
right,
and he was ahead in that, then that should let you know something about that side.
Yes.
Right? Grand Sheik Nature Al Bay, right? Another master teacher, right? Who, you know, when he sued Asbury Park police, when they jacked him up, tried to steal his property and all that stuff,
Yeah.
Moors were going all over the country talking about he's running a fraud. You know, why is he suing police and stuff like that? And they're the authority and madness like that.
Yeah.
Right? When he was really setting the constitutional perspective in order for the Moors to follow.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they have the at that time they had their paper, right? And they put the lawsuit in the paper so that, you know, it's public record that we're suing these so-called police.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows, right? They're leaving them alone now, though. They don't bother them anymore because, you know, when they, you know, and people took the position of, oh, well, you see, they sued, nothing happened, right? They're still out there. You know, how come the police station didn't shut down and whatever if they sued them and whatever like that? Because the point wasn't to shut down Asbury Park Police. The point was to put the status of the Moors on the record,
right,
so that those people don't bother Moors anymore.
Right.
No different than what we're doing out here, that Moors right now go to court. You know, we were talking about yesterday, Moors make a clear distinction as to we're Moors. That name that you're talking about there, that has nothing to do with me. You want to do something with that, go right ahead, but don't try to tie that to me or whatever. And then court's going to be like, all right, yeah, cool, you know, here's ours or here's whatever. Just get out of here, right? Concept. Okay. Brother Asir, the Duke of Tears, right? Another Moor, young brother, came up, you know, boosting clothes or whatever with buckshot from Black Moon back in the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's foundation. If he used to go stealing stuff with buckshot or whatever, and we listen to Black Moon and Smith and Wesson and all that stuff, then okay. We know that he's foundation. He knows what's up, right? Same thing. You could call him anytime. Yo, you want to do a Skype? Yo, no problem. He'll do it just because the frequency is, you know, being what we know, not just talking that we're Moors because, you know, it's cool to talk like Moors. You know what I mean? Actually exercising these things. Make sure you go get his book, right? Dark Skull 418. Okay. Go check, you know, comic book. Not even just a book, comic book. Talking all about Moors history for page 1 to page 300 or whichever page it is that.
Look up Superman. Look up DC.
Real talk, the real comic book. You know what I mean?
A couple of stops on my way here.
Yeah.
All the names were mentioned. I was just thinking in my head. I was just running them down.
Just running them down like that. Yeah. Right? Because it's a pattern. You know what I mean? It's a pattern. And there's particular Moors. People could say whatever, right? People could talk about whatever we like, but as far as we're concerned, we don't budge from those Moors. I'll go watch Jose Pimenta Bay. Another Moor, you know what I mean, that called him up, brought him out here to do a lecture. You know what I mean? And he's from the intellectual school or whatever capacity. He's, you know, up here because he's in university teaching or whatever like that. PhD and all that, right? He's a professor, right? And if nobody noticed, just to put it on the record, the first time anybody seen him in a fez was when he did our lecture. Right? Because he put us on. Yeah, he put us on. Like,
he's like, well, he goes, that's how you guys are operating down here, so I have to
get in line.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I have to get in line. I'm not talking to black guys or whatever like that. you know.
Did his
So he,
research.
so he put his stuff on. You know what I'm saying? And represented, you know, if you want, you can go check that out online. We put a little piece of it up. Jose Pimenta Bay. Oh yeah, and then his book, Our Fellow Children of the New World. Make sure you go get that book. And then we have Brother Obashango L, Brother Toriano, another brother, Lucifer, right? Another brother, you know, he's directly connected to Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moorish history on this side.
Canada side.
On
Canaanland.
as far as the northwest of Mexico, right? Brought him here. He dropped some stuff for the Moors just because, you know what I mean? All the Moors in Chicago, in Mecca, Brother Daweed Ali El, Mentu Hotep Bey, Aki Bey, Richard Neal Bey, Kenyu Bey, all these Moors that invited us, you know, the only Moors that said, why don't you guys come down and check the temple or whatever like that when we were trying to find out what this thing is about, you know what I mean? So there's a level of Moors that we deal with because there are Moors here before cards, papers, plates, claim houses, whatever like that. There are Moors here first. And then that's the perspective that we're instilling on people, not just in Canaanland, but, you know, we got somebody from Bermuda linked us the other day. Somebody from Jamaica linked us the other day. UK linked us the other day. There's a Moor in Netherlands, Germany, Moors in Japan. There's Moors all over the world right now that are looking at the beacon light coming from Canaanland as a example as to, you know, where to go get information, because half the other places that they went to 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000. You know, some more came and said a little while ago 2,500, and there was 8 people with them. So 2,500 times 8 is what they paid to get their birthright. Right? 2,500 times 8 people.
The only way they're going to really get that birthright is if they study it.
That's the real deal.
That's the only way they're going to get it.
So, you know, when we look at the enemies of the Moorish movement, it's not just, you know, European colonists and, you know, people who are trying to, you know, escheat the land and hypothecate property and denationalize people, call them black and all that stuff in news or whatever. But it's also people on our side who took the position of, you know, we're siding with who's in power, opposed to let's get these people who claim to have power out of power so we can reclaim what's really our stuff, right? And the last reading to be read every meeting, to be proclaimed every meeting, which also too that we're gonna just put on the record once again, that the enemies of the prophet that Noble Drew Ali told the dear Moors to watch out for weren't reading these letters that we're reading right now from Noble Drew Ali, that Noble Drew Ali said read every meeting. So if Noble Drew Ali said read these letters every meeting, and 100 years later we're just finding out about these letters that were supposed to be read on the temple floor by the heads, then we already know that it's the echelon people in the Moorish movement that sold out. It's not the members. It's not the individuals that are sitting in the seats coming into the temple. It's the people who are in the adept chamber, the people who, you know what I mean, have the thing on and they have the button with the little stuff, you know what I mean, and they say that you got some power, authority in this, right? Islam, I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth, right? So telling people in the stuff to be read every meeting that he knows that there's only a few faithful people around. That's why he could put out in the Moorish literature, he can put out, well, yeah, the Moors were in a meeting, and then, somebody came to stab the prophet or something like that, and the Moors just
Just watch with
see what happens. Let's just see what happens with this. You know what I mean? Noble Jwali did his little whatever, took the spirit out of the dude, and now Moors are on their knees begging, pleading, you know what I mean? Don't leave us and stuff like that, when they were down with him to get out the way.
They're like
Agents. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the last few years. Right? So the nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. So he's letting people know that he's the focal point of this. He has to be the one that's um, presented as the leader, as the head, as the forerunner, as the one that got this thing going. And then if he's not there, then don't worry, the nation's not going to recognize you. Which is the problem that all these Moors are having, that have problems dealing with, whether it's court they're dealing with, whether it's, at their job, whatever. The issue that they have is that they're probably backing some dirty Moors or whatever that's been putting their face up front for the past 80 years, saying that they're the supreme this and they're the grand whatever, and they don't even bring up Noble Jwali. And if they do bring them up, they have them on a chair, the picture on a chair, and, they figure, that we're presenting him, right? But then they're not reading the stuff to be read every meeting. And they're not telling people, oh yeah, you need the Quran, it's around the wall right there, just pick one up. Oh, you want one questionnaire, just go, whatever. They're trying to tell people, $50 for a Quran. Or they gotta wait for a Quran. You want a Quran? Well, you gotta prove you're worthy before you can get Noble Jwali's literature that he said that the people are supposed to have. Right? So we wanna reverse the wizardry, because remember that all these people who claim to be heads of the Moorish movement are high priests. If they were taught by prophet, we'll actually just find prophet in there. You can just look up prophet in that, and we'll see what that is. So we want to address a couple of things that might not have been put out there completely, so that we can have a right perspective. Now, Noble Jwali Wizardry's death it is said that a disease or a sickness killed Noble Jwali. When we look at look at the Moorish Guide newspaper. There was a lot of testimonials. There's a lot of testimonials from people who had illnesses, and in them taking Noble Drew Ali's medicines or remedies that he put out, they actually were cured of whatever illness that they had. Right? So if this individual could cure people's illnesses, right? If he can actually cure sickness with remedies that he made, how is he going to die of sickness? Right? And not only just die of sickness, but his death certificate saying that, which was signed by a Moor, by the way, right? His death certificate saying that he died of something, right? Now, we're not only talking just about Noble Drew Ali, because, oh yeah, you got Prophet there? Yeah, just hit that up quick fast.
Prophet. A person speaks by divine inspiration, whereas the interpreter, through whom a divinity expresses his will. 2. A predictor or soothsayer. The chief spokesman of some movement or cause. In Islam, Muhammad, Mormon Church, Joseph Smith, Prophet, the prophetic writings of the Hebrew Scriptures from Middle English, prophet, or from Old French, from Latin, profeta.
Right. See if this one's in there now. Soothsayer, when you're good.
What's he using?
Yeah, regular honorable
American Heritage.
American Heritage Dictionary.
Which year is that? That's the one that we have?
Yeah, that's right now when you get prophet and you check the synonyms of prophet, one of the things that's listed as a synonym of prophet is a witch doctor. As well as seer and something else. Hmm? I can't remember what it is. Sage, I think. I think it's a sage. Now, if we interpret the synonyms of prophet as what is laid out there, you're going to get all these different things, right? And individuals are going to try to eliminate these things and just stick to this instead of going with the synonyms as well, right? So when we say Prophet Noble Drew Ali, it's actually, witch doctor Noble Drew Ali, seer Noble Drew Ali, sage Noble Drew Ali, soothsayer Noble Drew Ali. It's not just prophet only, because all these titles are also jobs. There's actually occupations. These are actually things that are listed things that people held and they did in ancient times. Right? You got soothsayer.
Soothsayer. One who claims to foretell events. Prophet. Soothsayer. To foretell future events. Predict. Prophecy.
Now, being that he's foretelling events, those things were documented in the Moorish literature, which you got up there, right? underneath the red book with the prophet on the front. Second shelf. Yeah. The next one over. Yeah, right above that. Yeah, right? So in that book is all the things that Moors heard the prophet say, seen the prophet do during the time of the prophet. And there's things in there that are going on right now. Right? There's things that he said that have happened already. That nobody pay attention to, nobody brings up, right? They're gonna say, Farrakhan and Martin Luther King and all these people are so important to the, whatever, but none of them foretold of any events, right? Wizardry told them more that the stock market's gonna crash. Get your money out the banks, put it in the post office. Wizardry told them more that there's going to be an Asiatic president and a vice president one day. Wizardry told them more. If you don't want Asiatic grand sheiks, don't worry, I can give you European ones. Now, there was a man by the name of Dr. Wright. Here he is, Dr. Wright, the herb doctor, guaranteed to cure all blood, tumors, and blood diseases, indigestion, and diarrhea. Give me a trial. 3020 Calumet Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. This is just one individual that was advertising that they were a herb doctor, which means that the lessons of Wizardry were really holistic in nature. If he's advertising herb doctors and he's not advertising go to Chicago hospital to go get shots for something. If he himself had things, so it's not just him only. There were people around him, just like we have, Wizardry, and then around him, there was people who dealt with law perspective. And then you have Wizardry, and then there were people around him that dealt with, the religious perspective. Same thing with that, there was Wizardry, and then there were people around him that dealt with holistic health. There's no way that this individual is dying of tuberculosis. And for somebody to take the position of lie on his death certificate that he died of a disease when he had Dr. Wright himself, whoever else that was around him that were dealing with holistic health, it lets you know the level of unfaithful people that were around Wizardry around the time that he was around. And that majority of the people that were around him were really against him, not with him. Which is why he made the Moors, make sure you read the letters of every meeting so people could know that you need to have some faithfulness toward your prophet and your movement. Because people are trying to bury this thing. Which is, what pretty much happens if we're in here talking about, let's have class about Wizardry and Moors. Obviously, somebody sold out. Obviously, people took the position of get him out the way. And once you get the prophet out the way, just like Supreme Grand Chief Bailey was saying, you get the prophet out the way, then you have what's left over is people who don't know what to do because they never studied. They did parrot with this information, right? This is what the prophet said, go to the meeting, sit there, oh yeah, prophet, yeah, and then go home, and that's all it was. Then you have the people who were the heads that said, oh, Wizardry's gone, so now we're here, so we're going to be the new Wizardrys for all these people to follow or whatever like that. Same thing, because these people didn't know anything, some of them jumped on those bandwagons or whatever. And then there was the individuals who said, why don't you guys just follow what prophet said? Why are you following these crazy people? Wizardry laid down certain things for us. It's right here in writing, black and white. But nobody took those stuff serious. Because, individuals took the position of Noble Drew Ali. Right? Like imagine the mentality of the people being such that a man is gonna come up at the convention and sit down in the prophet's chair and say, "I'm back," and then everybody follow that guy. Or they're gonna go over here and start up something else called Nation of whatever, call themselves the prophet now, still have fezzes on and all that, and then everybody's gonna go run over there. Okay, I guess that's the new thing for us to go belong to because he was down with Noble Drew Ali, and if he's gonna start something over here since the prophet's gone, then hey, why not follow suit? This is why we tell more. Study, study, study. Not because we say so, but that's Noble Drew Ali's own word. And why are you studying? Because dirty Moors are around here. Like we're saying, 3,500. That was the first call that we got. You know what I mean? Yo, thanks for that class, because I was just about to pay 3,500. I had the money in my pocket, about to go pay for my birthright, 3,500. Right? And the individuals who said 3,500 ain't nowhere to be seen right now. Disappeared. All of a sudden. All of a sudden, gone. Email don't work. All emails bouncing back. Phone numbers not in service. Right? That's the type of people that are in this. And the only reason that we really know is because, like we said on numerous occasions, we never got tainted with dirty Moors on that level out here. But we came in from individuals who knew what this was, knew Noble Drew Ali was, had all the information, gave us everything. Free. Amount of stuff that we got from Chicago, we could have said, they could have said 1,000, 2,000 or whatever like that for all the stuff that we got, that we came back with. That they were like, you know what? Let's take this stuff, study this stuff or whatever, go back out there and be more. Came back here, did whatever, help people get their children back from children's services or whatever like that. People, have nowhere to live, come live at the temple and all that, and then abandon this. Under the guise of, it's not right and stuff's not, Noble Drew Ali's not a real prophet and whatever like that, when everything's laid down. It's not even like you have to search for it. All you have to do is have an open mind with this. That's all. Just have an open mind. Study what Noble Drew Ali said. What do you say? We're not Negro, black, colored. Then we're going to go out. People who were in this that said they're not Negro, black, colored, saying that they're black now, saying they're African. Right? Have all this stuff going on, getting grant money, millions of dollars grant, and do nothing for their people, but keeping them black, keeping them Negroes. When we have documented proof. Think about how much people can save just on not paying taxes. That's it. Just a year. If we tally up all the taxes that we save in a year, and we times that times all the Moors in here. And that's just taxes. We're not even talking about fines and whatever other stuff that we're paying for. We're just talking about taxes only, on purchases. Whatever, anything I don't care what you want to buy, sneakers, whatever, who cares? You know what I mean? If you're not paying tax on it, guaranteed you're saving something. Big time. So it's 15% on purchases or whatever.
We don't pay attention to it.
15% is big money.
Yeah.
That we shouldn't really be paying.
No, because the bank doesn't even give it. It's not even close.
Right? Now we also wanted to address, right? So, so we put all that up just to address the fact that there's no such thing as the death of noble duality.
All right.
There's no such thing as the death of noble duality. It's a prophet.
Fine.
He took the position of lead, just like we're talking about with the youth man with the being in the cold or whatever. He took the lead because he knew that his mom was warped in her head. I'm not living with this crazy lady who just dropped me off at the house, leave doors open, stuff like that, and the youth man just walk outside.
Still something's up with that story.
Right? And that's documented fact. Right? So you know somebody who knows youth man's dad. And they live on the 4th floor. And the only way youth man was able to walk out the building and all that type of stuff like that, because that was his building. That was his building. That wasn't anything abnormal for him to walk out of the house by himself, walk down the hall, go downstairs, go outside. That was normal.
Yeah.
Right? But we have that because we have children bringing up children, and then children are grandmothers,
Generation.
right? Because we want to be black people, we go color people, and not use our faculties that God gave us. So, if you know scriptures, you already know Elijah left. Right? Enoch left. Enoch went up. Get put in the ground and all that stuff. Enoch went up. What do you mean he went up? He went up. He said, forget this. Joshua told him, be in this world, not of this world. What happened to him? He left. Because the powers, right, the powers that be, the real powers that be, not just going to sit around and see madness and do nothing. It doesn't go like that, right? That's why we're in here. We're the real powers that be. We're not going to sit here and keep, black people, then negative stuff happen. In the black community, then negative stuff keep happening. Black president, he's not doing nothing for these people called black or whatever. And then they're complaining about that instead of changing their status or correcting themselves. Right? The next thing that we wanted to address is the European Moorish relations out here. And the fact that the Europeans know what's up. It's not a secret to them about who we are as Moors, what our position is, right? And what we're going to do is use George Washington's letter to the Sultan to prove that they know what's up. It's not even a secret to them, right? They already know. Problem is that we don't know. And if we take the position of not knowing and exercising from that perspective of not knowing, then they continue to sit in the seats of power which aren't theirs and rule over us. When all we have to do is prove that we know. All we have to do is exercise like we know. Right? It's like they said, a good people, or evil people prosper because good people see evil people doing evil and they don't do nothing about it. They just sit there and watch. Letter from George Washington to Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Sultan of Morocco, City of New York, 1st of December, 1789. Right there, Just there alone, we know that there's a conflict in what we're taught. We even go into the letter yet. Why is the Sultan of Morocco and George Washington signing stuff in New York? Why aren't they signing stuff in Morocco? If the Sultan is the one that's the superior and George Washington's subordinate, why is the Sultan coming to where the subordinate guy is to sign stuff?
In America.
Right? Unless they have history backwards. And really over here is really where Morocco is. Right? Over here is really where the head of governmental activity for the world happens. Over here. It doesn't happen where people say that stuff happens. Like we know, pyramids on this side that are older than over there.
Well, 1959, right? Morocco Kingdom, 1959.
Right.
That's when they got their recognition.
Their so-called authority.
Yeah.
Right?
So-called authority.
So-called
because
authority.
They really don't have any authority.
Right. And the only reason that they were able to do that in 59 is because Moors were being Negro black colored people, and they knew that, hey, we claim to be, if we take that flag right there, we can claim to be the empire
They're not using
in the kingdom. Right? And they took that, ran with it. Now, Moors now, same Moors that we're talking about in the letter, that jealous of the prophet, don't know whatever like that, they're creating their fake stuff, and then they're calling up the Moroccan embassy, right? They're calling up the Moroccan embassy, and then make a video of the phone call where these dirty Moors call the Moroccan embassy trying to say that, well, Moors can't use the Moroccan flag in America and, whatever like that, when these are Moors calling them up, which shows their incompetence. That they're going to call the subordinate people to find out about their jurisdiction over here that they don't want to get down with because they are against the prophet, but they're going to go make up their own flag, make up some fake stuff or whatever, and try to say that they're a nation. Right? Let's talk about over here is Turtle Island, when that's Indian talk. We are no Indians if we're dark-skinned people. We're not native. We're Moors, Aboriginal and indigenous to this side. Great and magnanimous friend. Magnanimous. Just so we know, just so we're clear what George Washington's means when he's talking to this individual called the Sultan that he's writing. He's saying magnanimous. Great and magnanimous. Magnanimous alone is...
That's everything right there. You can't go farther.
Right? Great and magnanimous. That's the honors that he has for Sultan. You got
noble of mind and heart, generous and forgiving, above revenge or resentment, unselfish, gracious, daring and magnificent in war. Israel now has unprecedented opportunity to be magnanimous in peace. Quote, great magnanimous.
And we'll take out that stuff with the Israel because
sure.
we already know that there's a fraud or whatever.
They,
They use them. Try to, same thing. Try to steal Palestine's birthright. We're the magnanimous Israelis, whatever like that. When those people are criminals, just like, their forefathers did that. Right? Since the date of the letter, which the late Congress, by their president, addressed to your Imperial Majesty, the United States of America, have thought proper to change their government and institute a new one agreeable to the Constitution, of which I have the honor herewith to enclose a copy. Right? So, letting the people, now again, this comes back to what Noble Drawley said, read stuff every meeting, right? Moors that had and have temples, even today, still don't deal with civics, still don't deal with constitutional, teaching lessons, right? So people don't even know about this letter, right? Letting them know that there was such thing as a Congress, and Congress had a president, right? Which means that George Washington wasn't the first. If there was a Congress and then there was a president in that, right? So George Washington even counteracting the reconstruction of history in his own letter, right? Addressed to your Imperial Majesty, the United States have thought proper to change their government, right? So the United States was a government before this letter, right? But it wasn't here. It was in Europe. And they decided that we don't want to have anything to do with over there. We're going to come over here and we're going to set up over here. Now, in them coming over here and set up over here, they had to get permission to do that. They didn't just come over here just because they felt like it, Pilgrim story or whatever like that.
The United States like a, or like it adopts, or it's like a transfer from like United Kingdom.
You could even say that. It's the same thing, just on the authority is different. Instead of the authority being under the king, the authority is now under the sultan. Right? And institute a new one, agreeable to the Constitution, of which I have the honor herewith to enclose a copy. So they're going to set their government up, agreeable to the Constitution. And George Washington's enclosing a copy of the Constitution for the Sultan to take a look at it. Which lets Moors know, when Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, our job is just to enforce that document. That's not ours, our Constitution, even though we say, our Constitution. Enforce our Constitution. Not ours as in possession. Ours as in principles that made that up. The actual document belongs to the Europeans. And that's supposed to be what they're supposed to be following. Including the ones that are up here in so-called jurisdiction of Canada. Right? Because as we know, out here, Constitution
They always talk about it.
is the act.
Like the other day when they're talking about that the Arab woman who wore hijab in the court.
In the court, yeah, and they're trying to tell her.
And the judge told her she can't be in there with her high dress or whatever. Right away they start talking about that's a violation of her constitution.
Of her constitutional rights. Right? And whenever they say constitutional, whenever they say constitutional rights in Canada, they are not talking about the Constitution Act. They're talking about the United States of America Constitution. Because if they were talking about the Constitution Act, they would say the Constitution Act, whatever violation. And they never put act on it when they say Constitution out here. When we hear them talk, they always say just Constitution. Right? Especially when we go down to...
They always say that, but what document?
What document are they referring to?
But when they try to engage you now and you bring that to them, they don't know nothing about the Constitution.
All of a sudden they don't know
There's
about
the difference between Canada and the United States.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Only when it to their benefit.
There's a
I
difference.
always thought about that. Okay, what are you quoting as Constitution?
Right.
But I mean, Canada, of course, they have this kind of Canadian version of the Bill of Rights that nobody really knows right away. But they're actually quoting to the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, etc., without expressing these things.
Right. Liken that to also when if we have to go explain how is our position Aboriginal and Indigenous, right? Where was it again? Walmart, I think, where I went. Put down nationality card. You know, tax exempt, whatever. Oh no, we can't accept this. You know, this is
Yeah.
America.
I went through that too.
What? What do you mean? Well, this is America. We only deal with, Indian cards and,
From the
Canada,
Canadian government.
whatever, Canadian government and blah blah. Where's Canada? Well, Canada's Canada. We're a country or whatever like that, right?
You can't explain it. I'll make it to you what it is.
So, but Canada's in North America, right? Well, I don't know if. Hold on, let me get a manager or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they have to go talk to somebody else or whatever because the play is they know that their stuff is a fraud. But as soon as we call them on it, now they're trapped
Because
because
word too, like act.
act.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's an act. You know what I mean? Right? Nobody takes actors seriously.
Yeah, like my manager, when I approached him about that, the next day he came back to me and said that the Constitution is
Yeah.
That's what
Right?
he told me.
Yeah, that's the part.
Yeah, and then that's the next part that they go, that the Constitution suspended. Oh, so Constitution suspended, but Barack just took an oath to the Constitution or whatever like that. All these judges have oath to the Constitution, but why are they taking an oath to a suspended document?
Yeah, why are they still talking about it on the television?
Why are they still talking about the Constitution? Why is Barack Obama going all over the world talking about the Constitution, is founded on Muslim law and all this type of stuff, but it's suspended. Right?
Just add on to what everybody is saying here. With this irony, anytime you hear them refer to, I guess, Barack Obama or the current president is in Canada, from a Canadian perspective, they always say the U.S. president.
Right.
I know they're doing it on one level just to keep people's mind, that okay, you just don't want to say President Obama because then you might start thinking that you're American, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But in the same way, the same doublespeak talks because he's talking literally. They're saying the U.S.
Yeah.
president.
Right.
You know what I mean? The doublespeak, the double entendre plays right back into it, right?
Yeah, in that same sentence, they'll say the U.S. president, and then they'll say something else, and then words later they'll say America. So then, what do you mean? President?
Like
Yeah, like
What
the
they're
president of what?
indicating.
Yeah.
What are they trying to miseducate?
But I'm just saying the irony is like by trying to confuse or obfuscate,
Yeah.
they end up speaking the truth in a
Yeah,
way, if
yeah.
you know what the
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the truth
exactly.
kind of is.
Yes.
Because they say U.S. president just so Canadians who are just so close to the United States don't start thinking that that's your
That's
president.
their stuff too. Yeah.
Right, that's
Yeah.
your stuff too. But by trying to,
Do that.
mess that up, you're now really identifying that he is the president of the U.S. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
U.S. He's the president of, not actual republic itself of America.
Right. The time necessarily employed in the arduous task and the disarrangements associated by so great through peaceable a revolution will apologize and account for your majesties not having received those regularly advised marks of attention from the United States which the friendship and magnanimity of your conduct toward them afforded reason to expect. So they know that they have an obligation to pay something as Europeans. They have to be paying something in order for them to be here. They're not just here just because, we're just here and then that's it. Right? Look at it like insurance. Every month, you gotta pay your whatever, so you're covered. And when you pay, you have coverage. If you don't pay, then you have no coverage. We're taking your policy away or whatever like that. Suspend your authority, whatever it is that you claim that you have, until you pay or catch up to whatever you didn't pay or whatever like that, right? And they were letting them know that, we apologize for not paying you the stuff, right? So because we know that you deserve to get paid this thing, but since we're not paying it, we want you to just excuse it for a little bit, because we're still trying. The United States, having unanimously appointed me to supreme executive authority in this nation, right? So he was appointed, George Washington. He wasn't elected to anything. Some people some people came together and said, that guy is going to be the one that's going to talk to the Sultan on our behalf. Right? He was like their grand chief. He was their governor. He was their leader guy. You know, you're going to be the one to go talk. You know?
Yeah, I was watching a documentary yesterday. That's what presidents are not elected, they're selected.
Right?
They actually wanted to make him king. They offered to make him king.
Yeah, right, right. You know, that would definitely be
King George is fighting King George.
right. Your Majesty's letter of August 17, 1788, which by reason of the dissolution of the late government remain unanswered, has been delivered to me. I have also received the letters which your Imperial Majesty has been so kind to write in favor of the United States to the Bashars of Tunis and Tripoli, and I present to you the sincere acknowledgement and thanks of the United States for this important mark of your friendship for them. So, the Sultan, His Imperial Majesty, wrote letters in favor of the United States to the Bashars of Tunis and Tripoli. Right? This was remember when we looked up the magnanimous, right? It expressed the concept of love in there. So there was hatred going on before this arrangement happened between the United States and the Sultan, right? Because everybody knows that Europeans were the first slaves. They were the ones that really were in the slave trade, not us. So His Majesty put the position of ending the hatred. They have these Europeans out or whatever like that. While all the people in Tunis and Tripoli were like, nah, don't sign this. Why are you giving them, you know what I mean, passes and all that stuff? We should be enslaving these people. We're not supposed to be helping them out on that level. You can't be using your imperial powers to help the slaves get out of slavery, which caused the conflict between, you know what I mean, the people over there and the Sultan, which is where it comes into now with the treaty being enforced, and the fact that the treaty was to make sure that this strife between Asiatics and Europeans stopped. And we have these documents lined up so that as soon as something happens, just point to the document, oh yeah, that's your obligation, you know what I mean? No shooting people, choke them out on the corner or whatever. You have an obligation to make sure that you don't bother Moors. You know, Article 21, 22 of the treaty. You're not supposed to be. If we do something bad to you, then we'll be held responsible. If you will do something bad to us, then you're held responsible. So we can end this madness that's going on, creating this conflict that's causing conflict everywhere else in the world. Because remember, like this is the focal point of creating this universal peace between the nations, which really is just two: Asiatics and Europeans. Europeans were being enslaved, taxed without representation, you know, getting their ships confiscated. You can't sail here unless you show us your passport or whatever like that. Same thing that they're doing to us today. You can't go there unless you show something. Let me see your license. All that stuff is the same stuff that we were doing to them. Right? And the Sultan took that position. You know, and then that's why when we go check the Quran, we have the Sultan in the Quran. Because he was really pushing that first principle that Noble Drew Ali brought. Before Noble Drew Ali even came on the scene. Right? That the first principle is love. The first thing that we have to do, eliminate all this madness going on, is show love for a fellow man or whatever like that, so we can correct these wrongs that happen. And remember, George Washington said that it was an arduous task. Right? It was a task to get this to happen, to get these bays in Tunis and Tripoli to stop doing these things to these Europeans. Not because we really wanted to, not have them as servants or whatever like that, but stuff getting out of hand. Like, you guys just taking anybody's ships. You guys abusing the power that you have. You know what I mean? Same thing that's going on right now with the European, that they're abusing the powers that they have. They're not just violating us, they're shooting people in the street and stuff like that now. Mind you, those people are, they decided to be denationalized. They took a status that's dead. So, kind of get what, it's not really the Europeans' fault, really, right? But they should have a little bit more honor because they got oaths to the Constitution. Constitution is supreme of the land. If the Constitution isn't being enforced, then we go back to the document before that. Okay, well, next thing is Articles of Confederation or whatever, or you don't want to go by that? All right, before that, treaties. And that's what makes up the law. And if you're going to say that you're taking an oath to the Constitution, then you take an oath to all those things that came before the Constitution. We greatly regret the hostile disposition of those regencies toward this nation. Right? That same thing. Who have never injured them is not to be removed on terms of our power to comply with. Within our territories, there are no mines, whether of gold or silver, and this young nation, just recovering from the waste and disillusion of a long war, have not as yet had time to acquire riches by agriculture and commerce. But our soil is bountiful, and our people industrious, and we have reason to flatter ourselves that we shall gradually become useful to our friends. Right? So their jurisdiction was Eastern Seaboard, and that's it. They were only going to New York and these places to go sign their stuff, and they were going to go back to Eastern Seaboard.
The ships.
They weren't supposed to be chilling inland. They didn't have authority to be inland. They were only supposed to be in their 13 colonies on the Eastern Seaboard, and that's it. Anywhere else that they went, they were at the mercy of whoever's jurisdiction they went in. This is how you have the thing with the, killing the Indians and taking their land or whatever, because they're in jurisdiction where they're not supposed to be. But then the people who were Aboriginal and Indigenous, they didn't take the position of, hold on a second, there's a treaty right here. It says you guys are supposed to be, what are you guys doing all the way up here? What are you doing all the way in Canada or whatever? They're not supposed to be up here. They're not supposed to be, what do you mean British Columbia? That's on the other side of the stuff. How does British end up over on the west, the western seaboard? Right? The encouragement which your majesty has been pleased generously to give to our commerce with your dominions. Right? Let them know. Your dominions. Not our dominions, or not a portion of the portion of land that you gave us and whatever. Even the 13 colonies is your stuff. We're just here, caretaking until we get this thing right. The punctuality with which you have caused the treaty with us to be observed, and the just and generous measures taken in the case of Captain Proctor, go check that, so you can see what was really going down, right? Captain Proctor, make a deep impression on the United States and confirm their respect for and attachment to your Imperial Majesty. So they know, as Europeans, that they have an obligation to respect and honor Islam. Really, that's what was going on. Really, it was these Christians getting rid of Christianity and getting down with Islamic law. Realizing that the 10 Commandments are fraud or whatever like that. You can't use that over here. You need to be grafted into an Islamic structure of government, which is where the lodges come in. And then they have to wear fezzes. And then all their lodges are called Arabic stuff and Islamic stuff. And they're taking this position of, Thomas Jefferson had a Quran. Everybody's going to go, and, oh yeah, Thomas Jefferson had a Quran. All these heads of government had Qurans. KKK, they have a Quran. They dress up like Moors. Go kill Negro, black, colored people who don't want to be Moors. Right? Because they understand and they know that the authority that they have or the rule that they're under is the rule of Islam. Which is that we were talking about yesterday, why Barack had to come out and do it. We understand, that there's, Islamic state of whatever that's doing all this evil stuff. That's who we're against. We don't have no problem with Islam. The issue isn't that we have an issue with Islam. The problem is that we have people who's fronting like they're Islamic and then doing devilish stuff all around the world under the name of Islam, which, remember, U.S. and everybody, they have an obligation to say something because they're founded on Muslim law. They can't just sit back, like they plan to do. Yeah, we'll just sit back and watch all this play it out because we put them out there and we'll see how this goes. Well, the people that you put out there, they're saying that they're Islamic. But remember, you guys were founded on Islam. So you can't do nothing. That's why when, Moors go to court with their fez, first thing they tell, take that off or whatever. You have to take you have to swear on the Bible. No, I want to affirm. All right. Okay, fine. You can affirm that. But you have to take that hat off. No, sorry, send our hat, national headdress, whatever, fez. Right? Because they know. Right? Everybody in there have fez. Mayors down there, they got their collar that they got from the Masons that they parading around City Hall or whatever like that. Yeah, we're municipal government or whatever. So why are you wearing a Masonic collar? Which means that, you're subordinate to Moors. And they know that they're subordinate to Moors. That's why when Moors send our stuff to them to get proclamation for Noble Drew Ali or whatever like that, they'll come back and, sorry, we can't give, religious proclamations and nothing like that, because, yeah, but Punjabi guys, they got proclamations. And the Hindu guys got proclamations. Buddhists got proclamations. Those are religions. How come you guys don't want to do the Moors, And then we realize that they're not the authority. You don't need them to give us some proclamation or whatever for us to say, yeah, Noble Drew Ali Day. Now we could have Noble Drew Ali Day because City of Toronto gave us something to say we could have Noble Drew Ali Day. You don't need them. Same thing with, notary. You don't need notary, seal no documents or whatever. You got seals in the back. Put the seal on a document and do your thing. Because it has more power than these notaries. Right? It gives me great pleasure to have the opportunity of assuring your majesty that while I remain at the head of this nation, which is why they got him out of the way and then put Adam Weishaupt in there, German, right, Bavarian Illuminati or whatever, because they knew that they had an obligation. But once you realize that, they abolished slavery, but you're still a slave, something has to give now. They really played them. The Sultan really played the United States, really. You know what I mean? Because they were still under the jurisdiction. Because the Sultans, that's Islamic. You know what I mean? They're trying to escape Tunis and Tripoli or whatever. Oh yeah, Sultan, why you speak on our behalf? Yeah, sure, no problem. We'll give you all these documents, blah, blah, blah. But they're still under the same rule. It's not really different. Who do you think Tunis and Tripoli's Sultan is? Same Sultan that they're talking about. But they realized late. So when they realized that they got played, then they infiltrated. to put a stop to this, peace agreement. And then now we have what's going on right now. That, people think that U.S. is U.S.A. is United States of America, is United States of America a republic, and then they're saying democracy when Constitution says republic, and then they're up here, and then Canada is saying, oh yeah, we're a Canadian government or whatever like that. When, Canada comes from Kanata, which is an indigenous word, so you can't really say that you're Canada. You should really be saying Kanata, really, and you're not really supposed to be using that flag. You're supposed to be using this red flag, and this is really the maple leaf right here. Not really 5-point star and all that stuff. Right? It's really maple leaf for our jurisdiction, right? I shall cease to promote every measure that may conduce to the friendship and harmony which so happily subsists between your empire and them, and shall esteem myself happy in every occasion of convincing your majesty of the high sense which, in common with the whole nation, I entertain the magnanimity, wisdom, and benevolence of your majesty. May the Almighty bless your imperial majesty, our great and magnanimous friend, with his constant guidance and protection. George Washington. So they definitely knew, right? So now, second to that now, so after that, so they set up the treaty and all that stuff, and now they have to give the insignia of who's who. So then we have the pyramid. And then we have the bird or whatever. Right? And then the infiltrators came in, steal the birthright, and they said, obverse and reverse in order to steal the birthright. Now when we touch this quick fast. So we're just going to read from, we're going to have these soon, but if you want to pick it up early. Who are the Moors, Asiatics, Americans? Are you in denial of your ancestry? Part 2 by Mizraim Aleph El. So there's that. You can get that from rvbaypublications.com. Mahamudra, Mahamudra. Mahamudra, Sanskrit, Tibetan, literally means great seal or great symbol. It is a multivalent term of great importance in later Indian Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism, which also occurs occasionally in Hindu and East Asian Buddhist esotericism. Therefore, the Great Seal, or Mahamudra of the Moors, Americans, Asiatics nation, is not a secret symbol. What we think we do or do not understand may be what we have not yet recognized for the memoir, yet if you scratch the surface, the truth is there. On the subject of the Great Seal Pyramid, or Mahamudra, brings us to our unifying factor of our presence over the entire planet Earth, specifically the so-called Egyptians. The presumption is you can't speak of pyramids unless you speak of Egypt, right? South Illinois is Egypt. In the most extreme southern point is Cairo. Illinois/Illinois, Webster's Unabridged International Dictionary with reference to History of the World, published by G&C Merriam Company, 1910 Gregorian calendar. On page 703 in the footnote of said impartial record, it states, South Illinois is Egypt. At the most extreme southern point is Cairo. Illinois simply means tribe of men. Reference Webster's Unabridged International Dictionary with reference History of the World. So, really, this is supposed to read obverse, and this is supposed to read reverse. And the obverse is the head, and the reverse is the tail. So the true authority of the landmass is the Great Seal Pyramid, which is of the Moors, that, pass that around. Great Seal Pyramid of the Moors, which you would see on that bill or note, you will realize that the capstone is separated from the pyramid. But what Moors have done is Moors have recreated the symbol with the capstone attached to prove that we're back. So the Moors can claim their birthright, right? And also what you're going to notice is that right here, there's a shadow on the pyramid. Then right under here, there's a shadow. And then when we turn that around, it's the circle 7, which is the same thing that we have right here. So that we know that this is our government. That it's not something that we can pretend that doesn't exist. And the only reason that we would pretend that this doesn't exist is we're incompetent.
And Cosmo L has something else on that too, which the upside down pyramid with the circle actually means 7 in like Hebrew or Phoenician language.
Okay.
Cosmo L has it.
Right. I didn't see that one. Right? So all the people who claim, you know, they're Kemetic, right? Hebrew, so-called conscious. All these people who claim this as their government. And their position is not to claim that, because this is the secret society's symbol. When the secret societies don't even back this. The Freemasons don't even talk in front of this or under this. It's other people that say that this is secret society to get our people to the tax front. Illuminati and whatever else. Right? When they know that this is not theirs.
But behind closed doors, they're practicing.
Yeah, behind closed doors, they're repping that all day, every day. Right? Because they know that the power really resides in this.
Same thing with them, did with the Nicene thing. They probably, after Joshua or whatever died, probably held it down in secret for 325 years and then came out with it there.
Right. It's just like
That's what they're trying to do, the same thing.
I can't remember who was talking about it, but we were talking about how when they had the book burning, they never burned the originals.
That's advantage.
They burned all the copies. They burned everything that people had in their possession, in their homes, or whatever like that. But all the originals, they got in the vault. You know, and nobody can't go there to go see anything or verify anything or whatever like that. You know? Yes, sir.
That Bob first
Yeah.
and V first. The two of them make up the universe.
Right.
So before the universe, it was a multiverse.
Right.
Which means there's no real order or peace. Too much concepts going on.
Right.
So this here is showing me the correction that was happening.
And then also too, to add on to that, that's why they say logos, order, secure, order out of chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because really that's what it's about. It's really about creating this concept, you know, just like great man said. Right?
It's a coin, a gold coin or silver, whatever.
Right, that too.
Pyramid as the head.
The head and then the tail. You know, and they've been playing the game with, you know, the two-headed tail coin. While they have, you know, the real coin pocketed, but they got this one, you know, they play the game with this one. And have everybody thinking that this is the real superior sovereign, the eagle is the real sovereign, and, you know, just like you were saying, this is dissolved. When the real dissolution is this, because this is back.
With the cap on top.
Right, with the cap on top. Right, with the cap on top. Right? So this is dissolved now. And this is really now what is the head. And the proof of that even being dissolved, we're gonna go there quick fast. 1993, Speaker Representative James Traficant Jr. of Ohio addressing the House about this being dissolved and this actually being what's standing. But if this doesn't stand as a nation, then the only use really of it is to put these ones in check until, you know, everybody, Kemetic, Hebrew, conscious, whoever, realize that they do have a government. And it's not about living off the grid and all those type of stuff and, oh, we got to get out of here because, you know, let's go all over there, set up solar panels and all this type of stuff to survive. How about you just claim your government back? Right? Like if all these people out here got down with this, we're saying the cognizant community, the people who know who they are, know that they built pyramids or whatever like that, you know, black, Asiatic, whatever. All those people say, oh, you mean that we can claim this as our stuff? Then we have a bigger percentage. You know what I mean? But until these people get down, only the Moors are going to be using this, you know, like we're doing, you know, because majority of us who are aware and active, if we send out documents, we got this on our documents. And they deal with it accordingly when they receive documents from the Moors with this on it. They already know what's up. It's not even an argument, right? Because of what Jay Trackman dropped, why they assassinated him, got him out the way, right? For revealing this fraud. Mr. Speaker, we are here now in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the U.S. government, which also Canada is included in this. So even though it says U.S., you know, make sure you slash Canada. We are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. There are some who say it is a coroner's report that will lead to our demise. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9, 1933, declared by President Roosevelt being bankrupt and insolvent. HJR 192, 73rd Congress, M Session, June 5, 1933. Joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States/Canada and the official capacities of all United States/Canada government officers, and departments, and is further evidence that the United States/Canada federal government exists today in name only. So it only exists as a name. There's no such thing as Government of Canada, Stephen Harper, Prime Minister, or whatever like that, Governor General got office in Parliament Hill or whatever like that. All that stuff is dissolved. There is just a building with some people in it pretending that they have some type of judicial, federal authority when they don't have it.
So verbatim, Trump speech, Congress, included /Canada.
No, I included that.
Yes,
Yeah. Right. And the concept of them being bankrupt is evident in everybody working, everybody paying taxes, everybody whatever, and it's just debt. It's just debt going like this.
People don't ask themselves that question.
Right? Mortgages, right? All these things that people are putting finance to, but then debt just keeps going like this. Right? The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. Right? So now, the receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations. So all these so-called Moorish groups that want to use the United Nations as, you know, we're going to the UN to have the meeting to whatever to recognize as Moors. They're actually selling out everybody who gets down with their thing. Because the United States, the United Nations are the receivers of the bankruptcy. So all these individuals who are taking, you know, are selling people out, you know, under the guise of United Nations meetings and all that stuff, are really agents for this bankrupt, insolvent, dissolved entity claiming to be government or whatever like that, right? And we have that right now. We have ample amounts of Moors that are, you know, they're not going to use the UN declarations as a guidepost to show people that you have a right to a nationality, right? But they're going to use the UN as a jurisdiction to go to say now they have authority because, you know, the UN, the United Nations said that we are recognized by them. Here's our meeting card, or here's our whatever, because we went to the UN. They didn't go to the UN. They went to some private bankers posing as United Nations. Because the real United Nations is the League of Nations. And that's been gone, long time ago. They've been dissolved that. All United States/Canada offices, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status in name only under emergency war powers. With the constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved, the receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. So once again, when Moors start challenging these people about if, you know, the government is a Republican form of government, not a democratic government. And then they bring up the thing, oh, you know, well, the Constitution is dissolved. The United States Republic is dissolved. You can't claim that. We're not claiming to be part of U.S. government. We're part of the empire. We're the heirs to the vast estate.
Rocket.
Moroccan Empire. Moroccan government. We're not talking about U.S.A. Republic government. We're talking about the government that set those guys up, is what we're part of. Which is a whole different jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction supersedes the people's jurisdiction that say that they're a Republican form of government. Because we set them up. We're the ones that gave them their authority to exist. But Constitution isn't our Constitution. It's theirs. We're just enforcing it because we understand that those people are criminals. So if you're saying that you're a democracy, all right, well then we're going to use the Constitution on it. Well, that's been dissolved. Okay, so then if that's been dissolved, what are you still doing over here? If that's dissolved,
Yeah.
then how come you're still here, pretending to be government? Well, no, we can't say it. Democratic doesn't slide over here. Republic slides over here. Okay, well that's dissolved. Okay, so then you're supposed to go back to Europe then. Or acknowledge this dissolved thing that you're trying to say is dissolved where you take oaths from. Right?
Or your point is you're saying that is dissolved and it is what gave you authority and what you're doing has to be dissolved.
It has to be dissolved too. Everything that they're doing. But this is why James Traficant's saying that they exist in name only. They exist only in a name. Just like people who say more Science Temple of America. But then when people come in the doors, they're getting dogma. And they're getting Noble Drew Ali hymns and pray to Noble Drew Ali and stuff like that. You guys just have a name on the building. You're not really more Science Temple of America. Right? Nation of Islam. You know they're a Nation of Islam. Then all other people who are Islamic aren't down with your stuff. Matter of fact, they hate you guys because you push hate or whatever like that. And they know that Islam's all peace. But they're telling people that they're devils or whatever. Now we know that they're Albions and we know they're servants or whatever like that. But when you go to the level of saying that, this individual's a devil, that's hate. Which is totally against Islam. And on top of that, you got 501c3 agreement to be an organization, and then you call yourself a nation, which is double fraud. Because they're not a nation. There's no such thing as Black Asiatic nation that they belong to. It might look good, they got food that they sell, pies or whatever, national food. They got flag, they got headwear, uniform, whatever like that, but they're not really a nation, organization. This new form of government is known as a democracy, being an established socialist communist order under a new governor for America. This act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the secretary to that of the governor of the International Monetary Fund. So when they got rid of all the gold, they got rid of the office of the treasury. Right? Same thing with the Moor Science Temple. When Noble Drew Ali left the forum, they got rid of the treasury. They shut the treasury down that everybody was paying dues into. And all the heads of all the temples that they were taking their finances, that the dues were coming in, and then you're supposed to send your dues to the Grand Temple, and then that goes into the treasury for the nation. Because it's a trust. It's not somebody's stuff. It's we got it, we're going to hold it or whatever. But the infiltrators took it like that. That we're going to take this treasury fund. And we're not going to tell people that we're taking the treasury fund because, we're teaching that Moor Science Temple is a religion or a religious organization. And then people had no clue about that there was a treasury with millions of dollars in it. And so when people come up and they bring up the thing about, well, how come the Moors don't have, how come the Moors don't have, you want me to be Moor, but you don't have whatever, you don't have this, you don't have that. Well, you know, ask some of those Moors who have mausoleums and stuff like that when they die. You know, you don't go to cemetery to go see Noble Drew Ali, you know, give your honors, and you're hunting, walking up and down for some plaque in the ground. Right? What a plaque. But some of these dirty Moors, they got big 500-foot stuff, mausoleums or whatever like that with their name on it and all that type of stuff. And you can find them easy when you go give them honor. But the prophet, you can't even find his gravesite if the grass grows too high. Right? Because they took the position, just like their boys who they're backing, the U.S. democracy, shut down the treasury. And once you shut the treasury down, then you transfer that power of the treasury to the receivers of the bankruptcy. And then that's now how IMF now, remember the governor of the International Monetary Fund is the one who now has the authority. Right? So now the authority now of the International Monetary Fund having the funds from the treasury of the U.S. allows them now to go to Jamaica and say, hey, you know, you guys are in debt or whatever, you know, we'll give you a loan, you know, that they robbed from the treasury of the U.S. Because remember, Jamaica's part of U.S., America. All the islands are part of the Americas. So they have jurisdiction. This is the International Monetary Fund, which isn't over here. This is over there. That's across the International Monetary Fund across the Atlantic. How they get jurisdiction in Jamaica to tell them, you guys have to sell Cuban fruits and vegetables. You guys can't sell your own stuff that you grow. We're going to stop that, because if we make you do that, then, you know, then you're going to have your sovereign power back. Which is why now you have all these so-called South American countries now telling the United States now that you don't have any authority. If you're coming over here, you need a visa. We're not accepting U.S. passports if you come here. Venezuela just dropped that one. That if you're coming to Venezuela, you can't come here on a U.S. passport. You better have a visa. And this is what everybody's supposed to be doing now. For all the islands, going all around. But, you know, all those people have puppets running in there. They don't really have people who are for, you know, establishing the republics again. They're taking the position of, you know, we got agents. So democracy all day. And we'll continue to fund gangs or whatever. When election time comes, you know, kill those guys so they can't vote, whatever like that. We put our own people in there, and we keep this perpetual madness going on. This act was instituted and established by transferring or placing the office of the Secretary of the Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. The Secretary of the Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States. The Secretary of the Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States. Which leads us to our last point. On Moors playing the UCC/PPSA game. Personal property Securities Act. Right, then Uniform Commercial Code. Now, when they go file their little, um, UCC PPSA crap or whatever to try to get out of obligations with strawman, what they're failing to realize and recognize is that this act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the Secretary of the Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. So there's no such thing as a Department of Treasury that has jurisdiction over some bottomless account in the strawman. It's really the IMF that they're selling their people out to and selling themselves out to. Because in order for somebody to push this process, they had to have filed theirs. So they sell themselves out, and now they're trying to get everybody else to sell themselves out to the dissolved Department of the Treasury, which is really the IMF. Which then puts you in a worse jurisdiction than you would have been in if you just beat a straw. better you stay straw man than go file UCC PPSA. If you don't want to say that you're more or whatever like that, cool. Then stay straw. Don't be talking about you're gonna go file PPSA, UCC or whatever like that. Because you're getting yourself in a bigger mess, messing with these individuals. Right? And then remember that the straw man is not a name on birth certificate, social, whatever. It is a legal fiction. It is not a name. It's not a name. As soon as we say name, you just give that life. Just by saying name, right? You can even say nom de guerre. If it is a name, address it as a warning.
Yeah, because we're under occupation.
Because we're under occupation. You know what I mean? The Rambo movie.
You say the very word itself on the document, it said name, and you put your government name, you're saying that in itself gives it life?
Gives it life because a name
implies
a living entity. But that's not living. The straw man's not living. The straw man's just, chase the crows away. That's all.
Not scared of life,
Scarecrow.
Yeah. So in the document, are you saying where it says name, you scratch out name and put it in place number here?
So if it's a document that you're filling out and it says name, make sure you reserve your rights on that contract.
Right.
Because as soon as you start altering the contract, they already know where you're at, and they're not going to give you whatever it is that you're trying to get. Due to the occupation, certain things we're going to have to apply for through them.
It's always reserve rights.
Reserve rights all the time. 100% of the time. Reserve rights once you're dealing with them. Because as soon as you leave it blank, now they have the signature, which, remember, they're going to send to the IMF, you know what I mean, to liquidated or whatever, make it currency, use it as collateral, send it all over the place, you know what I mean? Everybody signs the back or whatever like that. Then create something else, then sell it again, and then sign the back, and then sell it again, and then sign the back, sell it again, and they keep doing this thing. But then now remember, you know, these idiots up here, they're saying that, oh yeah, you know, I'll claim that as my property or whatever, when birth certificate been sold to 500 people already and monetized. And majority of the people who bought it, you know, they're using it under human trafficking.
Claiming that, you
Then you become a slave master too.
are not accomplice, you're condoning the activity.
Right, right. You're agreeing to it. Yeah.
Accepting the activity.
Yeah, you're agreeing that.
No, once you take profit from that in any way.
It's like, yo, it's like what you're saying in the beginning, like that the straw man is obligated to certain things. So once you try to get claim on it or jurisdiction on it, then you become obligated as well. Man.
Right. Right. By making that claim. By making that claim of filing some paper that you're paying, because remember, the idea is that I'm going to claim this artificial entity. I'm going to claim this artificial entity so I can have jurisdiction over it, right? And be the secured creditor or the sovereign. But if you're the sovereign, why are you paying to file this thing? If you're the sovereign of this, you shouldn't be paying to file it. Right? And right now, there's people right now going, filing these things right here, PPSA, right? You already know it's an act. You said earlier, you know, act has no standing at law. So why is that even considered? And then Uniform Commercial Code, that's, you know, fraud in itself. You know, because it's code. Just like statute, just like act, just like ordinance. It's just a code. It doesn't have no power at law. Just a code. And it's putting you under the jurisdiction of the IMF.
I know,
Freaking criminals.
You've been sanctioned.
Right, yeah. You sanctioned the fraud.
You sanctioned the fraud.
Right.
Because that was put on you.
Right.
So once you're not distancing yourself from it, once you're claiming it, you then are sanctioning and becoming responsible for that.
For anything that happens in that.
It's like you open the door to
That's
let
right.
it loose and let the
Right,
let
yeah.
out the cage now.
You open the cage. You know what I mean? You gave Frankenstein the jolt, and now Frankenstein got up off the bed now and you got problems. You got the raw now, and you're trying to figure out how we're gonna deal with this.
I know a couple of guys who are on the UCC, of course, they travel international. I say international, it's across the U.S. border. There's no national passport.
Mm.
So, UCC, whatever they file.
Yeah.
You think that's just temporary rules they live by?
Yeah, they're just getting by. You know what I mean? Get some more people on it. You know what I mean?
And then they'll slam the net.
Oh yeah. Because net's gonna pull up as soon as the international community starts, you know, saying we're not accepting no more stuff. You know, like they're already doing that.
I think Russia said that now.
Anything to do with U.S. or Canada. Because it's getting out that you know they're broke. They're bankrupt.
I think because initially wasn't the UCC initially designed for commerce to be done internationally. It Now when you realize that commerce is being done fraudulently, then everything starts to fall apart. And the people who are pushing that will allow it, as long as it serves their purpose, and it will allow people to sort of put themselves in it. If you want to keep stepping in there, fine. But then the instant they need to, they'll pull them up on it. So yeah, and that's I think the rules too, to let people see positive stuff. But then you're like, wow, let me get in on that.
They want everybody
Right.
to jump
They
on
want
it.
everybody
When they
to jump on
in,
that.
Now they close the
For sure. One of the things I realized the prophet said, I think he said in the Quran too, like there's 1,000 ways to go astray. There's just
There's
one
path.
path. So that's where I want to sort of preface this to everyone, and we know that it's going to be a difficult path, but that's the path we have to take, right? And that it's about all of the temptations and the tribulations that we're going to go through.
And also too with the fact that, you know, Noble Ali is the one that bankrupt these people. How about give him his honors? You know what I mean? And follow the program. Not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian.
Oh, just That was 1918, by the way, right?
The bankruptcy.
14.
No, I thought it was 1928.
28.
28, yeah, when he went to Cuba,
Yeah.
28.
Oh no, 14, 15 when they made the Federal Reserve.
I want to remember because a video, the street video we were watching, was talking about how when the prophet filed his claim at Cooks County,
Yeah.
he completely altered the so-called United States at that point. He changed what do they call it? He changed the capital from Washington to Chicago, and he changed the name from the United States to the Moorish Science Temple of America. He did that in that move. We don't know that. That's what he did. Completely, and then what he did, he bankrupted the country by that. That's why they then had to come and take all the gold.
Right.
Because we were the gold. So they had to suck up all that gold that was out there to then sort of pay off their creditors or that they owed. But we were the gold, and then they enslaved us to then cover that. And that's what the certificates are.
That's what the
birth certificate
right,
claim.
birth certificate, whatever, right? Which is why you can't go claim that. Because as soon as you go claim that, you're agreeing that slavery is not abolished. You know what I mean? Human trafficking is a game. And that's why we got all these issues right now with people, you know, have some type of issue, get, you know, killed, and then family goes to go bury them and they got no organs. Because that jurisdiction, that body isn't really a body if there's a birth certificate attached to it. It's a it. You know what I mean? And once you start claiming once you start claiming property and people, because you know that straw man is a person. It might be corporate, but it's still a person. As soon as you claim that, you're down with slave trade. Don't get mad when they come try to enslave you when you know you file some of these stuff.
And that again is the temptation. They keep getting you to try whatever they can do to get you to step in there.
Because you know, even think about this. How come they don't talk about the negatives? The people who didn't get through. The people who got kidnapped when they showed their UC at the border or whatever, and they got kidnapped. And they're doing some 20 years right now for something. You know what I mean? They don't talk about those people. But they'll always talk about the ones that get through. You know, like we were talking about with the UCC claim. How come with all these guys who's claiming, you know, strawman or whatever like that, how come none of these guys came up on YouTube yet and said, yo, here's the check for 80 million from the strawman, whatever, blah, blah. Because that's why they're doing that.
It's supposed to be there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be to get access to discharge debts or whatever like that, $80 million bottomless pit that they can go to.
Yeah, that should be all over the internet.
And you know,
Find me one guy
and you know
that got the check.
And you know it would be if that had happened.
If that had happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless it's, here's the check.
But even still, even if that was the case, you know that it would still get out. Of course.
Well, you know,
In a sense.
it depends on, you know, some guy said that he saw the mountaintop and they shot him in the throat. So, so
Yeah,
they
you
might
have an
not
option.
tell.
You might want to be rich.
You might, you know what I mean? You want to, you know, you just see people, you know, just balling or whatever like that, you know. Hey, how'd you get that? Can't tell. It's not from drugs. Right?
From That's what they're gonna say.
Right? Before we close out, we just wanna we dealt with the Treaty of Peace and Friendship book that you can get from rvbaypublications.com. Right? Um, James Trafficant bankruptcy speech. You can find that online. Reread the rest of that. Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry? Part 2 by Mizraim Aleph El, rvbaypublications.com. Noble Drew Ali, The Last Prophet, Prophecies and Hadiths of Noble Drew Ali, Seven Seals Publications. And for all the people who had online questions, we're going to deal with those on Tuesday's class. So if you have any more questions, because Tuesday might be a freestyle day, so if you got questions, online people got questions, they can send those. Any other comments or questions before we close up? You have any questions? Everything's clear today? All right. Everything good?
Well, about like life insurance and all that.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff.
Yeah. All that stuff. Yeah.
But remember too,
But
a
then-
lot of the times they're not going to want you doing that. I mean, we've had some situations that once you start doing that, so be careful if you're looking if you're looking to sort of try and get a benefit that really should be lawfully yours. Understand that you've got to pick and choose. You start putting on Amari, he tries to go get his mortgage and
Yeah.
all rights reserved, and they just quash the deal.
Yeah.
Because they know it's a fraud.
Right.
So they can't then condone that fraud. They're not going to. They're not going to
Right.
condone it lawfully and legally on paper like that.
Once you're aware of it, too, right?
They want to way out.
Well, then, yeah, they just won't honor that. They prefer to step away because they know you're one of the ones who knows. Right?
Then-
Because definitely what's going to happen is whatever certificate that they created off of your life insurance is being monetized.
Then you're not, once you reserve your rights, you're not bonded.
Well, no, but it also holds them responsible for the fraud.
For the fraud that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because they know that if you don't reserve your rights, then they could
They could
Do
do
whatever.
whatever.
they
Yeah.
choose.
Right. And then
Contract.
But technically you're bonded.
But technically, what you could do is you might want to do, like is step into it in the straw for that kind of benefit. But that's ultimately, I mean, all
Yeah.
that stuff down the line that you would then want to,
And
maybe.
then also too, think about too, like with what we were talking about today with
Well, Hold on. He's saying that you would have to reserve your rights to now to then step out later. But I believe no matter what, the contract has to always have these 5 components to it,
Yeah.
right? It's got to have, it's got to be equal. It's got to not have anything hidden. So you can always step back out of it, even when you sign it. Because when you
there's
find
going to be something that they violated as far as contract law.
right? If they haven't exposed everything we're talking about, then
That makes it fraud.
fraud. If it hasn't been equal, or the compensation hasn't been equal, then that's something to step out of.
But then that's where the whole all rights reserve comes in. That if you don't reserve your rights, then you can't really bring up those stuff really as a issue, because you didn't create the window for you to back out.
Yeah,
Reserving your rights is the window to back out,
later
even
on,
if they do fraud.
And
if
then
you're living in a program for son, right? Then and then you pass away or whatever, and then you probably voided that because if they're coming with a check in the other name.
Right. Well, I mean, we could look at it like this too. The same way that they would be taking out, $30 or whatever like that. You just get a safe. You just put your stuff by yourself.
But ultimately,
Because really, if you really look at it, life insurance is really death insurance. So you could be signing yourself up. You could be signing yourself up for early death by signing that, because it's really a ritual. You know what I mean? Like why do I have to insure my life? You know what I mean? Like, why am
Well,
why am I paying
No, but trust me, I was watching the commercial then. I'm thinking to myself the same thing. I'm like, what do you mean life insurance?
Life
Then you
insurance.
should be paying me right now then.
Yeah.
Why am I paying
Yeah.
into this?
Paying into something
And
so
then
when
when
I
I'm gone,
die,
no, this is not a life
you know,
insurance.
and then majority of the time they're gonna jack that. They're not giving that out.
Or they
No.
should put like, just change like life inheritance that goes to your children or something.
Or something like that.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's called life insurance, but the payout is called a death benefit.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right,
So,
that
right. So letting you know.
Hold on, I want to make a point too. Like what you're saying makes it applies, but to me, then you have to think about like the karmic debt about it now, or the karmic energy you're bringing, because you're aware of the fact that, you know what, I'm doing this just to gain this little benefit, but if I reserve my rights, I'm not gonna get it.
Well,
But
not me getting it.
It'll be for the offspring.
Yeah, yeah,
for getting it no matter what or whatever.
right, but you knowing yourself, and then trying to after say, you know what, well, you didn't disclose all the terms of this contract to me, right? That's why I didn't reserve my rights, or whatever that comes about after, which technically you would be right, but then that's on the physical level, but then on the karmic level, now on the spiritual level, you fucked yourself because you
You
knew.
knew. Yeah.
Knew, but maybe no, didn't really know.
You
Yeah,
did,
but I
trust
mean,
me,
you know,
you
yeah,
denied with
like,
yourself.
Yeah.
But you knew.
Yeah.
Yourself
Me,
knew.
Yeah.
Me, myself, and I knew.
Higher self knew. Lower self might play like, nah,
Acting like you didn't
I
know.
can't see you or whatever, but higher self knows what's up, yo.
Like,
You don't
Those
care.
are fiat notes. It's
Huh?
not even real money.
Even on that level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why even bother?
Well,
Why
I
did-
think, you know what,
Even
I
after
think,
you
I think,
die, you
I
gave
think,
it to
I
your
think,
kids
Brad-
and you
I
come
think
and get it
Brad
anyway.
made a better point, and we were talking about this before, which is the fact that
Could be the lady one.
that we have to stop looking to them
Yeah. Yeah.
for stuff. We gotta start setting up our own shit.
Yeah.
And that's gonna come with an evolved area, but like
Yeah,
Randy said, better for you to put that thing, buy a little $20 safe
Yeah,
for now,
and just
and
put
just put the
everything
$30
in
in,
the-
you're gonna see
'cause it's
in
the
2
same
years
thing.
It's gonna be there.
Yeah,
And like he's
Yeah,
saying,
no, that's right.
Same
like
thing.
he's saying though too, if they decide that they want to mess around with the currency, just like they did in Italy and places like that, that same $2,000 you have might only be worth $20. So,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so
That
that's
is not.
so,
Yeah.
so,
It's
so
really
that's
nothing.
so that's
It's
where
really
the
nothing.
problem is. But ultimately, I think what we need to start doing is looking at how we're going to bring our energies. Because we talked about this before. Anything that we have to go to them for, in any way, we put ourselves in their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be,
And
even reserving your rights, is still putting yourself, having someone on their side determine what's right and what's wrong.
You see the thing in my black days, right? When I met my girl and stuff, like we, mortgage and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had a certain thing, then we had these plans going, this and that, and I found out it was more.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like
kinda
I
mess
say,
up the
yo,
plans,
stop
kind of.
everything.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
We
We're
gotta
not
mess up
doing
the
this
plans.
no
Yeah.
more. We're
Remember
doing
this, so the prophet said
Right,
too,
right.
all the business that you've done in that name, keep in that name, and anything new.
That's right. Moving forward.
That's why we have 2 flags.
Like,
Right.
Grandpa said, like, it's business as usual. Like, say when we went to check Jam, and Jam was asking him,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
do
yeah.
I do with this?
Yeah.
No, well, that's what you had that's the business you had in that name still conducted, but you reserved your rights on that name, so you're protected now.
Oh, I understand where he's coming from with the insurance part. Because when you get a host, they ask you about insurance covering the host.
Yeah.
So in order for you to get life insurance, you get a policy that covers the amount of the host so that when anything does happen, and I know it's a fraud, but
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
they
yeah,
require
that's
you to
right.
do.
And
So
exactly.
what he
All
did
the
is
stuff
he's
in the
saying that he
house,
got the
man.
life insurance policy to cover whatever he called his house is so that he can cover his
And
bases.
interesting that you said that, this
So you can
European,
maneuver, yeah.
Yeah,
European
yeah,
lady I know,
exactly.
they
Yeah,
started
you
paying
navigate.
into their
Yeah.
insurance, which was a death benefit insurance, that if someone died on either side, that the mortgage would be
You'd be
paid
paid
off
for it.
and the line of credit paid off, right?
Right.
And I observed that happen to her.
Yeah.
She died of a disease that happened after they check you out
Yeah,
medically to
yeah,
make
yeah.
sure that you're not
Yeah,
messed
yeah,
up,
Got money,
right?
boom.
And what happened was her mortgage was paid off and her line of credit, and she's now sitting pretty. Of course, it's all a fraud,
It
but that's the benefit within the fraud.
Yeah.
But then on another level too, that you know, the Europeans gonna look out for their own.
Not true to the truth.
You know what I mean? For the same thing, just like with the UCC, you know, get one person to get in, have everybody, oh yeah, that lady got it. Oh,
And there's
well, who's your broker or whatever like that, and
the
then
taxes too.
rape you
Europeans give
later.
tax benefit that you don't even know is out there.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Right.
on their questions, they have some sneaky questions.
Yeah,
that,
yeah, they know what they're dealing
you know,
with.
like, you
They
know,
know what
like,
they're dealing with.
it's not good, man.
Yeah.
That's why I say we gotta turn it inside.
Yeah,
We gotta come together and start, because we are the energy.
yeah.
Because they can catch smog in my lungs and say, yeah, well,
Yeah, and say you don't qualify.
trigger
You
it.
know what I mean?
That's like what you're saying too.
You don't qualify
We're
though.
under occupation, so we have to. It's like certain things we gotta pick our spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Straight goods.
We have to.
Straight goods.
Yeah, I gave up
So there's
that
two
one.
flags,
still.
man. We did it. There's a commercial flag. And then
Purposely
it's
gave
our
up
understanding
that
that we do, this is his world, this is his business that we run in sometimes. I will say though that there's, just to show you that a lot of the insurance companies are aware of exactly what we were talking about.
You're like, I don't
There is
know.
one of them that you can declare your natural person. They allow you to declare your natural person on the form. So they're aware of those
Right,
things.
and then that's different.
A lot of people
Right.
are getting privy to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
What was it that you said?
That's
So
different.
there's a certain insurance company that allows you to clear. They have a category for clear natural person.
Right? So if you're going that route, you know, I mean, you still reserve your rights, but at least this way, you know that if you do it in your natural person, now they can't touch it later. They can't touch it. You know, just like with deed or whatever like that,
Well,
or
they say-
just like a will. I mean, you know, if you're gonna pass something down, make sure you
Well,
know
if they say they
offspring's
can't pay you.
nationalized so that when the transfer goes over, they don't have jurisdiction over the transfer.
You get the
So
title.
they can say the
Right.
fiat, they can't legally give me fiat,
If you were right, they could
right?
they could work
They
their
can
way
say
back
you
out of
don't
that.
have
But
those
then
gold for
I
you.
think what we all know is that by exposing that fraud, a lot of the times they allow the fraud to continue because it serves a greater purpose.
A greater purpose for that.
Right?
You can bury it under
And we-
within time.
I think that was one of the other videos I saw too that was stating that most of the banks are funded by the insurance companies.
Right.
Money that we're paying,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
paying insurance companies basically run the country.
Yeah, it's not really banks.
Yeah.
It's not really
Yeah,
banks.
they all the same.
You know what I mean?
One thing I wanted to ask about we were talking about before. When you were talking about the Sultan and George Washington, are you saying, tell me if I'm wrong, are you saying that the Sultan is pretty, where that Sultan was coming from to reach to New York to sign the document, he was in a more or less subordinate position?
No, George
George was in a
was in
subordinate
a
position.
subordinate position.
So what were you?
But why
what
is
did
the
you mean?
Sultan?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. What were you saying? Okay, so he was in a subordinate jurisdiction.
Yeah, like if
The Sultan was in a subordinate jurisdiction.
no the
So what was your point? What were you trying to make when you said, what was the reason why the Sultan had to come to New York to sign
yeah
the
because they're
document?
saying because it's Morocco.
Yeah.
So if it's Morocco, they should be over there. But the real
So really-
jurisdiction of Morocco is really over here.
So it's what I said then. So the Sultan, where he came from, was a subordinate.
Yeah, where he came
jurisdiction,
from. Yeah.
then-
From
then
over
over
there,
here.
then over here. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
was
Over here is the superior jurisdiction
But
that everything had to be done in. Over here.
But their structure that they set up, whatever, the United States, that George Washington was representing, was subordinate to the kingdom that the Sultan was coming from.
To
Why they needed to ask the Sultan to come to sign something in the first
sign
place,
something in the first place.
right? Because that was permission they were
They
getting,
were
right?
getting permission.
To operate.
Right.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, they drafted off the real original.
yeah, the real jurisdiction, the real authority is from this side.
Yeah.
The real
Morocco.
the real Morocco is not people's mentality is Morocco, but it's really New York, Philly, you know what I mean, Pennsylvania or whatever
then-
like that is the real
So then when you were
governmental.
saying, so then when you finished that part off, and you were saying it was the Sultan who really pulled the wool over their eyes because what they
Yeah,
were
because
doing
because
wasn't really.
because the Sultan's jurisdiction is vaster than just dealing with them.
Yeah, they
The Sultan's jurisdiction is dealing with all the other beys and stuff who were coming at the Europeans. That's why they were mad with the Sultan for even setting up the arrangement with the European in the first place, because he's supposed to be down with them, like, yo, let's enslave them.
Yeah. Okay.
But he
So
was saying, yo,
when they were trying to
you know,
seek refuge from
from
the United Kingdom or whatever it is.
right, yeah,
from
yeah. The jurisdiction that they were in
from
of
Europe.
Europe,
To do whatever they're doing over here,
right,
they were just supposed to be on the coastline.
on the coast.
Well,
they ended up-
Right.
Yeah, because you just trade.
Yeah, that Morocco over there didn't exist at that time. It was only the empire.
Okay.
You were just
Okay.
asking what the Morocco too, and I was explaining to him too, they set that up, I think, as well as a facade, so that when you start looking for the Morocco.
The new Morocco.
Right.
You're over
You're
there.
always going to over there,
You're
right?
always
Right.
over there in their town.
Right.
As well as that once you start putting yourself into their jurisdiction, you're in a fraudulent jurisdiction.
So the
Or
statement.
a subordinate jurisdiction.
Right.
So the statements were Moorish American because
We're
we're
descendants
descendants of
of
Moroccans born in America.
Yeah.
Really, it's like it's a play on words somewhat.
Yeah, yeah, because
Because the descendants of
America
Moroccans born in America is America is
America is Morocco.
Morocco.
That's why, you know, the issue with Moorish American, the real issue isn't really the ish. You know what I mean? If you're going to argue that position,
Yeah.
the real issue is that Moorish is Morocco and America is Morocco. So we're really saying we're Moroccan
Yeah.
if we say Moorish American.
But I think
You know what I mean?
American
But I think to qualify that, the reason why it is like that is because we were something before Moors.
Right, we're something or
That's what we're classifying ourselves as now.
now.
So we're just putting that down there so we
Just
can,
so that
we
you
can have
you're
a line.
clear
Yeah.
that we're talking about the Moors on this side, not just Moors from Philippines or
Yeah.
Sri Lanka or whatever.
So,
We're specific.
in order to be more ish, you have to be born in Americas or national.
Right,
A
you have to be
national. You have to be a national,
of the Americas.
Ethiopian.
Right.
Actually, here's the thing. I don't think it's a double. I don't think it's a play on the words. I think it's a double. It's a double bang. It's you're an American.
Right.
It's like a reinforcement.
Right.
You're Moorish and you're American.
Yeah.
Pretty much just saying you're a Moroccan national or you're American
Yeah.
national.
Yeah.
More is the blood, more is the like who you are.
Right.
And then whatever is after is where you're
It's where your geography where you're at.
So
Yeah.
you're Moorish,
Yeah, because you could be Moorish
Britain or
Egyptian or Moorish.
Right,
Moorish,
Moorish,
yeah.
Sudanese or whatever. Right. Right. Anything else? More?
and then more is was like Morocco is what America used to be called or whatever.
Right.
So that's next to Moorish and
Almara.
Which includes here so-called U.S. You know, empire goes down to, you know, Chile, Peru, Ecuador, or whatever, Argentina, all that, Greenland, whatever, all that is empire. Also across the Atlantic, you know, we got, you know, everything over there is also, you know, the jurisdiction of the empire.
That's why the statement's made that the sun never sets.
Right.
More is not the I'm not.
Yeah, the more is the bloodline, the more is who we are.
Attached to the land.
Right. Right. Which is where then they go to, you know, some more say, okay, well, I don't want to say Aboriginal, I say autochthonous. I come from the land. They just slash that with Aboriginal slash the, you know, claim everything. So really, that's the claim. You know, might as well just claim everything. You know. Why not? We're the only ones that really have any jurisdiction or power to make the claim. So Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love. Let's just close out. And Islam to all the international Moors and the Moors online and the Moors wherever else that you're at. Peace and love, brother.
What is it that you like for money to say?
We don't even know this Friday. Saturday and Sunday. All right.
This part one apart, right? This is part one.
All right.
This is part.
All right. Okay, good thanks. I'll take a look at it.
everything.
Okay, okay.
All right. You know that?
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Babylon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right in the
Alright.
Good thanks, Uncle.
I could do them very well.
Yeah, for sure. Free up, man, free up. What is that? It's a documentary? Oh yeah, we just want to put it out there. Rome must fall.
Rome must fall.
No.
That's my new track.
Five on the left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace. Freedom.
Freedom.
Justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
night.
And by day.
Through
His holy prophet.
His holy prophet.
Noble Drew Ali. Ashe.
Ashe.
Yes, sir.